Some of the most vocal outcries over President Trump's crackdown on immigration have come from the country's big city mayors. And lead among them, Boston Mayor Marty Walsh has been out there front and center. Even got him some national recognition when he appeared on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah earlier this month.
Why would you be helping undocumented workers stay in the United States?
28% of Bostonians are immigrants. 43% of Bostonians are first generation. So we're a city and we're a country founded by immigrants.
But could opposing a president known to carry a grudge come at a cost? Trump has said he'd like to cut off funding to sanctuary cities. And the city of Boston receives about $500 million a year from the feds, $280 million for housing, $100 million for schools, $25 million for public safety. Is this a risk worth taking? Here to answer is the mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh. Mr. Mayor, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Aren't you putting funding at risk for the people you represent by taking on this guy?
I don't think so.
Why not?
If it's Boston, it's New York, it's L.A., it's San Francisco, it's Seattle, it's Minneapolis. It's all over the country. All of those cities are economic engines for the city of Boston, for the country. And I just don't see how you can cut back funding on all those places. I think there's going to be funding cut back regardless, just because of some of the policies they might push for. Those are my concerns right now around education and housing and what the plan is going to be, both in those secretariats and housing and education. What's the plan forward? But I'm not concerned about Boston losing money.
You're essentially calling his bluff, though. You're calling the President of the United States bluff on these issues.
Well, I think I'm not alone. Other mayors across the country doing the same thing. The U.S. Conference of Mayors, we're a bipartisan group of mayors, and many of us, Republicans and Democrats, are in the same position.
Well, there's somebody who had a different take sitting in that chair. A couple of nights ago, the governor, I think a progressive Democratic governor of Rhode Island was here, Gina Raimondo. Yeah. I asked her about the fact that Providence was a sanctuary city like Boston. Here's what the governor had to say.
I've drawn a distinction for myself from the Providence mayor. I have said I'm not willing to lose federal money over this. That's a lot of money. It's $3 billion that flows into Rhode Island, and I do have to make sure, I have to be practical and make sure that my folks don't get hurt.
She not get it? Not tough
No,
enough?
I think there's a lot of concern out there around the country. She does a great job in Rhode Island. She's a fairly new governor, so certainly she's trying to move the state forward. Again, here in Massachusetts, I look at Boston. Boston's economy is a strong economy. We generate a lot of revenue. We generate a lot of federal tax revenue. We do a lot of research in our hospitals and our universities. So there's a lot at stake if you start to cut back in the city of Boston.
But doesn't someone like that who takes that position put you in an even tougher spot? When you're not the outlier, but you're the one taking them on, when there are other Democrats who are saying, I'm not putting anything at risk.
Again, I think that when you look at a city like Providence or a city like Boston, Massachusetts, we have a lot of immigrants living in our city. We're a majority city of immigrants or first-generation immigrant sons and daughters of immigrants like myself. So I think that, we're in a different position than some of the governors are when the governors look across the board at the whole state.
You told me on the radio several weeks ago, you're going to reach out to the president. Have you done it?
No, I haven't personally reached out to him yet. I'm still hoping that there's a conference of mayors leadership forum coming up, and supposedly the president or the vice president is going to be there. It's going to be an opportunity for us to sit down and speak.
You're pretty close with the Republican governors. Speaking of governors, a ton of your Democrats have been critical of how Baker has responded to the challenges of Trump, including our next guest, Congressman Moulton. Are you among them? Are you critical?
We've had conversations. Certainly, there's a multi-prong of issues here that we're concerned about in Washington. Immigration is one of them. Another one is the Affordable Care Act, and that's hopefully where we'll be able to use the relationship of being a Republican to be able to preserve some of the changes they might make or the repeal they might make in the Affordable Care Act. Those have consequences as well in Boston in the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. So hopefully he can use that relationship.
So is Baker being tough enough? Is he taking the right position?
Again, I think he's in the same boat as Governor Raimondo in Rhode Island, that they represent the whole state, and they don't represent necessarily just the cities of our state. And I think that they look across the board at their constituencies.
Not only is Boston a sanctuary city, but you said the day of these orders, I'll house people in my office if I have to. There's a bill on Beacon Hill that would make Massachusetts a sanctuary state, just like Connecticut, California, and I think 2 other states. Governor Baker opposes it. Do you support it?
I'd support it, absolutely. I think it's important. I think that there's, we're not really sure what the actions of the president on the next step is. When he talked the other day about going out and grabbing people who are undocumented who have committed crimes and possibly going even further than that, he hasn't been really clear on what they want to do. In order to do something like that, they'd have to deputize all the police forces in the Commonwealth as well as the state police. And I think if we had a sanctuary type of city or a Trust Act type of state, if you will, bill, then the police department, whether they're Boston or the state police, should not be doing immigration reform law. They have plenty of work to do without having to worry about rounding people up and doing immigration law.
So are you disappointed that Governor Baker's not supporting this thing? He's
No,
opposing it.
I wouldn't necessarily. I'm disappointed with him. I think that he makes his own decisions. I make my decisions. I think that there's an opportunity here for us to continue to have conversations. I know that he's not happy with what's going on. I think that the actions of this week certainly aren't making his job, our job, easy. I mean, I think we want to focus on governing and continuing to bring companies like GE back to Boston. And with all this noise in Washington, it's making it very difficult to do our jobs.
You know, I know you are been a crusader on gun issues, along with your police commissioner, Evans. You've been very active on a whole variety of fronts. I'm sure you read just yesterday, Governor Sununu of New Hampshire signed this law that allows for concealed weapons to be carried without a permit. That doesn't affect Massachusetts. What might is, there's a bill in front of the Republican Congress called the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, which would essentially say, if it passes, and Donald Trump signs it, and he says he supports it, that it's sort of like, you know, the Republicans are saying, like a driver's license. Yeah. If you can drive in New Hampshire with a license, you can drive here. If you can carry concealed without a permit there, if this becomes law, you can carry concealed without a permit here. What do you do about that if it becomes law?
It's hard. It's dangerous. I'm hoping it doesn't become law.
What if it does?
I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, our police department has a tough enough job right now distincting about who has guns, who doesn't have guns, and if somebody has a gun that's out in the public, obviously they're going to react and respond. So I think it's going to cause chaos, not just here in Boston. I mean, the president sneakily the other day reversed President Obama's executive order on national background checks. No one's talking about that. We had a young man shot 2 nights ago in the city of Boston, 19-year-old shot. Last night there's a memorial in the Dudley area of Roxbury, and there was a drive-by shooting there that somebody shot at the memorial. We should be working to get guns off the streets, not trying to make it easier.
Would you resist this if it became
Absolutely.
law? You'd disobey the law if it became law?
I don't know if we can disobey the law. I mean, I don't think we can round people up that coming down. I don't know enough about what.
Could you take their weapons? Would you take their weapons away
if we had the ability? Again, if it's federal law, I think it supersedes all state and local jurisdiction.
Before you go, I'm told you have last-minute change in plans for tomorrow, and you're going to Atlanta. Why?
Yeah, I'm going to Atlanta to address the delegates who are voting on the next party chair, the Democratic Party. And
whose request?
Donna Brazile and the Democratic Party. I almost said Republican. They don't want me. The Democrats. They want me to represent the mayors of the country in what we're doing here in Boston around immigration, around climate change, and around the Affordable Care Act, and really speak in a voice of mayors and what we need to do. And I'm hoping that the party, when they select a new chairperson, I listened to a debate last night. They were talking about the debate, and they were talking about Trump. They're focused on the wrong thing. They should be focused on the grassroots in states across the country, not on Donald Trump. Donald Trump's election is not for 3 more years. They should be winning back some of these legislative seats in the House and the Senate across the country.
Donna Brazile doesn't work for the committee anymore.
No, I think she's moderating it, or she's one of the folks moderating.
You have a candidate in that race?
No, I don't have a candidate in that race. I just want somebody good who's going to do a good job of getting our party back on track. And I don't think our party's off track because of Donald Trump. I think our party's off track because of internal fighting. I think we need to get our message, whatever our message is, go back and let the American people know that we represent working class people, we represent veterans, we represent the elderly, we represent disabled, we represent the new people to this country. That's what we have to do.
Enjoy Atlanta.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Mr. Mayor. Marty Walsh.